Hi gang, Rob here. It's the morning of 29 September 2015. Got another From the Sharpening Bench video for you this morning. And this is one I was actually pretty excited to have in the house. But have you ever had one of those knives that you had great anticipation about and a lot of desire for when you saw it in pictures and even maybe watched some videos on it, and then when you actually got it in hand, you kind of went, oh, really? Well, this is one of those knives, and it's from Lionsteel. For me, it's one of those knives. It's called the Tie Spine, designed by Robert Young Pelton of DPX Gear fame. Done a lot of collaboration and design work with Lionsteel, and Lionsteel builds his DPX knives for him. The Hest and the Heat and several others. And he's done some Lionsteel branded designs. This is perhaps the most notable of them. You can also buy it as a DPX knife called the Aculus. Extremely similar, if not identical. This particular tie spine is like the SR series of Lionsteel's, an integral titanium frame lock knife. It differs from the SRs in that it does not have a steel lock bar insert. And then if you notice the geometry of that lock bar and where it locks up, much different. I kind of like this, at least in theory. I like where it locks up radially. I like the small contact area. It does kind of lend itself to the lock bar moving around as you're gripping it, but much more so than a lock bar that locks up back here, which if you pinch it wrong, you create some lock stick, which you just heard. It's beautiful to look at. However, it is so not ambidextrous. It's a right-hand knife. And by the way, that is how you pronounce that word, my friends. Ambidextrous. Ambidextrous. There is no I before the OU. That was for you, Derek Bone. And I hope I didn't make any grammatical errors in that statement. You can left-hand open it with the middle finger and then the thumb. I don't think it's really particularly flickable. Like, maybe with a lot of practice you could do that, which I have not put in. The blade is sort of a drop clip spear, a very cool shaped blade. Almost has the profile of a Sebenza blade, doesn't it? It is, I'm going to call it saber ground. So flat ground from about 2/3 of the spine down. And when I looked at this knife, especially in contrast to the SRs, with its slimmer handle, the slimmer blade profile, the slower sort of opening method, it really dictates a sweep, although with the little wrist you can flick it open with the thumb. I really envisioned this more of a gents folder, and I expected it to be sort of a thinly ground slicer. That it is not. This is a 17-degree secondary bevel, and it's kind of broad. I really expected to put a 15 on this and have it be skinny and a wicked slicer. It's just not. It's pretty thick. It's as thick as an SR1 behind the edge. Maybe a little thicker, believe it or not. Along with that integral construction comes what we've come to expect from Lionsteel, if you can see them. Teflon washers. And a stop pin that is screwed from one side. This side is sort of what locates it. It's essentially like a female cup pivot. Just love how that sort of sunburst milling pattern carries all the way around the spine. It does have a lanyard hold. The clip on this model is not reversible, even though it's mounted exactly the same way as Lionsteel's reversible clips. No reason for it to be, because we lefties are out. You know, for a couple of years I've known this knife existed, and I've always lamented the fact that it wasn't left-handed until I got one in for sharpening and realized with that kind of chunky blade grind I probably wouldn't own one anyway. Also, you'll notice if you are familiar with this model that the heel of the blade is not stock. Now, it really looks like a Sebenza blade now because I gave it a Chris Reeve profile back there. It had sort of the Grayman problem at the back. And just like a Grayman, if you're going to do this mod, you got to be very careful because that stop pin locates right in the base of that radius, and you don't want to chew it up and wreck your closed position. Would have been almost impossible to sharpen and make it look good without doing this. I think it looks quite good like this. I think Chris will too. Well-made knife, construction we're used to from Lionsteel, but I just think, even though the centering's off just a tick, can't really fix that on this particular model. It's stuff we're used to, but just not in a form and function package that really appeals to me. And I'm kind of disappointed by that, although I'm not, because it's not left-handed. But the normal beauty and beautiful finishing that we're used to seeing from Lionsteel with, you know, they got their quirky little issues that some of them are objectively defective and some of them are just taste issues. And this one has some taste issues for me. But it is pretty cool. Nice little bronze anno on that titanium. If you're a right-hander and you really don't care about ultimate slicing ability, but you like the style of the knife, I think it's probably a pretty good buy. You know what? I didn't weigh this thing or measure it before I did this video. I'm going to say it weighs, I don't know, high threes, maybe 4 ounces. Blade length is about 3 1/4 inches. Handle length is 4 7/16 or so. So definitely a more pocketable knife than an SR1. Definitely more handle than an SR2. So if you don't like those big broad Lionsteels for EDC, this would make you a good one. Just thought you'd like to see it, guys. Oh, by the way, this one also belongs to Chris from Texas. Look, when I say he's got eclectic taste, look at this. These are the 3 that I made videos of in the last 24 hours, all belonging to him. The Gedritis Pathfinder Flipper, the Marfione Custom Anax, and the Lionsteel Tie Spine. Totally different knives. All the same owner. Oh, and for good measure, an Almar Falcon FFG. This thing is wicked, wicked slicer. Oh, dudes. Especially with a real edge on it. So, package coming your way, Chris. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word and the tie spine are sharp.